Hello, my name is Susan Gross, and I'm a clinical psychologist working with children and youth within the schools and in the community. I'd like to offer an exercise today that is about self-compassion and moving from dysregulation into regulation and co-regulation. I learned this from David Trelevin, a trauma expert who practices and teaches trauma-sensitive mindfulness, who learned it from Stacey Haynes, a teacher in somatic psychology and social justice work. When we talk about managing stress in our lives, or grief, or trauma, we're really talking about survival strategies that we have in our psychobiology and how we can learn to work with these strategies in a skillful manner. And having a certain degree of compassion for ourselves and others is going to be key. So, this is a sort of self compassion practice around our survival based instincts, our instincts and ways of responding to events around us and within us, and offers a way to understand others using those same instincts to cope and survive. I'll just invite you here to take a moment and just find yourself in a posture that works for you. You can take a breath. You may want to have your eyes open enough so that you can see me, because I'm going to be guiding you here through an embodied practice. Or you can slightly close your eyes and try to listen and follow along. So first of all, take a moment to notice your current mood or state, noticing where you are in your window or your zone of resilience. Sometimes this window feels narrow and tight, and sometimes it feels wider and easier. I'm going to be leading us through about a 3 to 4 minute practice here, which is going to have a part 1 and a part 2. It's an optional practice, of course. What we're going to be doing is working with both of our hands. I'm going to hold my hands up here, but you're welcome to have them in your lap or low in front of you. I'm just having them here so that you can actually see them. What I'd like you to do is, with one of your hands, go ahead and make a tight ball fist and clench the hand. And remember, the only job here in this practice is to notice what's happening, to let this be an experiment of thought and body. With that fist closed, I'd like you to imagine that the job of this fist is to stay clenched. And in staying clenched, this fist is taking care of your safety. It could also be your dignity. But primarily, this is taking care of your survival. Imagine that's the job of this fist. Then what I'd like you to do with the other hand for a moment is actually try to open the fist and literally be in the experiment of feeling what it's like to have the other hand trying to pry open that fist. Go ahead and try if you're not already doing that, and then just feel the quality. Again, the one fist is trying to stay closed, the other is trying to open it. Just feel what's happening in your whole body as you do this. Okay, good. Then you can let that go. If you want, you can shake it out. We'll do one more round here, but just take a moment to notice what that felt like. Okay, go ahead and clench that hand together again. Then with the other hand this time, I'm going to invite you to gently place the hand beneath the fist. In doing so, it's like you could imagine communicating something like, "You're doing a good job. You're doing what you need to do." Or, of course, you're clenched right now. Of course, you're tight. You're holding on. You're staying safe. You could fill in if there's any other words that feel right for you right now. But what you're really communicating is a sense of care, compassion, understanding, and unconditional support here with no judgment and no agenda to change things. As you do this, you may feel the first fist continue to feel tight and remain clenched. You may feel it drop into the hand. Just notice what is. So the last part here is you could have the hand underneath supporting the fist, or you could even have it supporting the fist to close. Maybe saying, "I'm going to help you do this. No problem." And just feel what happens. See what that's like. And notice how this feels in your body. Okay, you can let that go. Give your hands the movement they need. Maybe to shake out, settle down, maybe to hold each other. Just take a moment now to notice if there was a difference. You may be feeling or thinking something about this, or maybe not, and that's okay. Then just shift your body and mind here in any way that you feel you need. Could be to take a breath or two, a little movement, just letting yourself transition back into whatever you're doing now. I offer this as a practice to support the window of resilience, to support our regulation for ourselves and for others, and to do that in a way that it's not just conceptual but embodied. It's one thing to think about being compassionate to ourselves so that we can feel compassion for others, and it's another thing to really practice embodying this. It's also about respecting these survival responses. Maybe being hyper aroused makes a ton of sense right now, or maybe withdrawing and closing off makes a lot of sense right now. I know often my response when I'm anxious is to think, oh, I wish I was just more calm. I wish this was easy. I may be wishing my window of resilience was wider. So it's how to pause, slow down, and say, yeah, of course you're feeling this way. Sometimes I might do this in the morning or just before a stressful event as a way to just remind my body of what it's like to orient myself in that way, to notice and hold with compassion what it is I'm feeling and acknowledging that rather than judging it. And then I can take that breath and use some tools to say, okay, well, what's needed here? What is this tension telling me? Really that ground of self-compassion and holding that sensation. And then turning to think about being with others rather than judging or fighting against their response, but acknowledging that and showing compassion and acceptance, saying, of course, to another, and in a way holding them until they are able to respond maybe in a different way. We can't force ourselves or others to move from a dysregulated to a more regulated state, but we can hold ourselves with understanding and then lend our compassion to others and hold them in that understanding as well. Thank you for sharing in this practice with me.